Zombie games are pretty common. Even games that aren't primarily about zombies have something related to it. As such, there is no shortage to choose from. But there was a zombie series in particular that I was quite fond of. Despite being a mobile game, it had a great art style, some lore, and like most mobile games, was free to play, which is how I found it in the first place. And it was called Dead Ahead. Dead Ahead Zombie Warfare is basically like a zombie strategy game, but actually fun. You can choose your survivors, each with their own unique abilities and powers, to fight off or defend against an upcoming horde of zombies, complete with really cool pixel art style and lots of lore. It was a really great game, having stellar reviews and more. However, this wasn't the game I was referring to. While many loved this game, some might not even remember that there was actually another before it. It had the same art style and a similar story, but completely different gameplay. And it was missing. It had vanished from both the Apple and Play Store without so much as a warning, and searching for it now only shows the newer one, almost as if it never existed. But I know it exists, and so do a few who did play it before its disappearance, with Reddit posts and forums asking what happened to it. What happened to the original Dead Ahead? Let's start from the beginning, with a little backstory as far back to the year of 2003. A man simply called Anton was a gamer at heart and a huge fan of math and computers. During his time in college, his father, unnamed, had the idea to start a gaming studio with Anton, as he noticed how much time his son spent playing games. And together, with another unnamed third person, they started a company called Moberate. They started off small, by making some flash games which were popular at the time, most notable being Parking Mania, where you had to drive a top-down car and park in various spots with its rising difficulty. It was nothing to write home about, but it was a decent game nonetheless, and soon they kept making more games, like Space Bikers and Office Gamebox. However, their biggest rise to fame was in fact Parking Mania. In 2011, around the same year as the release of the Office Gamebox, they ported Parking Mania to the mobile market, and it thrived, as during this time was the golden era of mobile gaming, where developers were still trying to get a feel for what kind of games would work best, and most of the time it was random puzzle games or anything to do with cars that showed promise. This led to Moberate getting some profits and, more importantly, some new fans. So, with the new demand for their games, they decided to shift the focus onto the mobile market. And to start things off, they took advantage of one other kind of genre that was really popular: zombie games. So after 2 years in development, Dead Ahead was born. At its core, Dead Ahead was an endless side-scrolling racer where you drive across several maps, dodging obstacles and zombies as you desperately try to make your way to a safe zone. It had a super cool pixel art style that is reminiscent of those old Metal Slug games. And while before their games were more or less kid-friendly, Dead Ahead was also their first game where they tried to somewhat increase profits. There was also lore, because as you all know, if a game has lore, then you know it's good. The game starts with a neat cinematic about the impending zombie invasion. Nothing is really said about what caused the outbreak, and all you have is your shotgun, your girl, and bike by your side. Anyway, despite that being the only cutscene, there are a few things we can learn if you pay close attention, like how the game takes place in Russia, as it's a Russian newspaper, and there are several evacuation notices around, so there's possibly a safe zone somewhere. As for the gameplay itself, it's really simple but super addicting. You are always on the move, and as you drive there are obstacles in your way like broken cars and potholes. So basically the average driver in downtown Detroit.
Fuck you, Baltimore!
Additionally, zombies from behind will slowly catch up to you and you have to shoot them down to get away. So it's a run and gun type of scenario. To survive, you'll have to maneuver well and kill fast. Some niche details I like is that you can actually drive on top of cars if you ramp over it, and you can find the poster zombie girl on the road with her iconic free hug sign. There are also 2 power-ups you could pick up along the way. Nitro gives you a big boost of speed to blitz through everything and gain some distance, and the other is ammo crates that boost your damage. Based on how many kills you get and how far you go, you'll get coins, which you can then use to purchase new weapons and bikes. Each bike has its own stat based on its speed, handling, and size. Plus, you can even customize it with different colors. which is a minor detail, but it shows how much effort the devs put into the little things and make it more enjoyable, which sadly many games lack, especially mobile games. You got your standard scooters, choppers, and ATVs, but there's also two unique ones. The first is the prototype XRB, which is a personal favorite of mine because it looks good and looks like it's from an anime. It also reminds me of Yusei Fudo's bike. If you don't know who that is, all I'll say is
card games on motorcycles.
Last one is of course the fan service mobile, but we don't talk about that. This is a wholesome channel. And honestly, that's pretty much the whole game. There's just 4 other maps to play on with various difficulties. I really would have liked there to be more emphasis on the story. Maybe on each map there's a certain distance to reach, only for it to be a compromised safe zone, and then you'll have to move on to the next until the final map. It'll help the game have some kind of progression to it, rather than just beating a high score. And as a bonus, after you beat a map, you can unlock the endless mode. But it was just a start. They didn't plan that far ahead, so there's no ending or any other explanation of the lore apart from that opening. Additionally, as I said, the maps are more or less the same. They just have more obstacles and different backdrops. Otherwise, it was a great game. I was even able to find an old Metacritic review and it had a great score, with the main drawbacks being not enough content after a while, or some complaining it doesn't work on their phones. But with that in mind, what could have happened to it? You might think that maybe Boberate removed it because it was too old or weren't planning to update it, but their literal first game from 2009 is still up, along with all their other games, so that wouldn't be the case. So then, what actually caused Dead Ahead to just seemingly get removed out of nowhere? So right off the bat, the first easy answer / reason to why it might be gone is due to its sequel, Dead Ahead Zombie Warfare. It came out in 2017 and it was a huge success, getting near perfect reviews across the board for its simple but addictive gameplay. Basically the Peacemaker and Bloodsport meme. It kept the same charm as the previous one, but amped up the gameplay and lore to the extreme. Instead of running and gunning, it's more strategy oriented. Your main base is an old school bus, and you'll have to use different survivor units to defend or attack against the upcoming horde. It kind of reminds me of a game series called Cartoon Wars, where it's mostly the same thing, but with less lore and more stick figures. Additionally, in Zombie Warfare, there are over 56 different units, each with their own unique style, ability, and uses. Plus, they all blend together well in the story. You play as a sheriff driving across America in said school bus, heading to a possible safe zone, recruiting new survivors, before inevitably trying to find a way to end the virus. And in each of these places you visit, you'll be able to unlock new survivors. Even better is that some have their own unique backstories and lore details. There's also more fan service for the gooners out there, and that's how we have videos like this one. The game had something for everybody. Zombie lovers, strategy enthusiasts, gooners. It's no wonder the game became a hit. So where does that leave the OG Dead Ahead? Well, I was about to label it as a classic case of game abandonment. There was no announcement post or anything regarding it being removed. Boberate kind of just swept it under the rug, and the only source I could find was someone who allegedly emailed them about it, and they responded with them saying they were only focused on the sequels. But then, on November 9th, 2024, literally just almost a year ago, Boberate did something unexpected and announced the arrival of the first Dead Ahead, with an open beta and a new name, now being called Dead Ahead Zombie Bike Racing. And they probably heard the complaints of not being able to play offline, so they literally put it in the icon. They are of course still focusing on their main series, but ever since then, the company has grown from a 3-man job to over 70 working employees. Apart from the original remakes, they were also working on 2 other spin-offs, like a game called Dead Ahead Tactics, which is like a Fire Emblem kind of game. It's honestly the most unique out of the whole series, as it's the only one in 3D. The last one that is also quite recent is Dead Ahead Roadside, which is more RPG-like and keeps the original art style. As for the original Dead Ahead, we'll still have to wait and see when it moves out of beta. For now, players both old and new rejoiced in the return of a great game. As of the writing of this script, the game has reached over 1 million downloads and around the same amount of positive reviews. So in the end, it seems like Dead Ahead was almost a zombie. It never truly died. Instead, it was buried underneath for a while, waiting for the right time to rise from the grave. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. First, let me start off by saying that I was planning to make a Dead Ahead video a few months ago, but put it off until now. And the funny thing is that I did my research literally before they announced the beta, but I already had this format in mind, so it was a bit of a clickbait since if you really try to look for the game, you can kind of find it, but it's still hard to do so. Either way, I still feel bad about making it kind of clickbaity, so I apologize for that. But hey, at least I made the video interesting to watch rather than just me yapping about the game and what it does. At least I hope it was. And this unfortunately will be my only Halloween video. I had a lot planned for this month, but some things came up and this month literally flew by. I just blinked and it's already almost November. But I do plan to start uploading more frequently. Hopefully I'll be able to do a new video every week. Additionally, I'm planning to do shorts again, or at least I'll try to. On the community tab, I did a poll for if I should do shorts about the smaller, simpler games I get recommended. That way, I don't have to worry about making a full-length video on a short game that only a few will remember / like. But that doesn't mean it can't be a main video idea later down the line if I get asked about it enough. Either way, it'll mean more content. Although it's just me doing this, so I'm thinking of doing it like a mobile classic game of the week sort of short. So only like one per week. If you guys have any other ideas or suggestions, please leave a comment down below. And remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already so I can be noticed by the YouTube algorithm. And if you really want to go the extra mile, I do have memberships, although I am still trying to fix up the perks, so keep that in mind. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and have a happy Halloween.